Fat Dag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, Fat Dag.
I am your host, Fat Dag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 226. And I want to give a special shout out to Daisy. Every once in a while we're in the live chat and it just takes me, I don't know if she's not paying her Facebook dues or what's going on, but I miss her on occasion and I skip over her name accidentally. And so I want to make sure that we cement this for real. They put it on episode 226. You can listen to it as often as she needs, but she chimes in with big old smiley faces, so it's kind of cool. Folks, the live show is fun. We hang out with a little over 100 of you, maybe a little more just before the show. And we just kind of quickly say hello and chat back and forth. It kind of really builds a neat community. My favorite part is watching you guys interact with each other, which tells me that what we're doing actually is bigger than anything any of us ever thought. We're building our own support network, and that's what makes that's what it takes to get all this done. So, wherever you're listening to the app to the podcast, I'm not sure if you have the Wise Advice app. Certainly, get out to iTunes, into your app store, I should say, and download the app. It's in the Google Play Store. Get the Wise Advice app. There's a setting in the app I just found the other day. There's a setting in the app that says auto download on Wi-Fi only. If you turn that on, what it'll do is when you're home, connected to your home Wi-Fi, it'll go download all of the current episodes so that when you leave your house, you don't need to use any data to listen to the apps. Now, of course, your phone has to have the room to store them, but once you've listened to them, it just takes them off the app for you, so it kind of keeps that fresh. So that's probably the best way to set the app up. Inside the app as well, you can click on send me an email, and we'll add it to the show. That's for certain. If you're not using the Wise Advice app, shame on you. But if you are using it, thank you. Outside of that, the podcast is in Stitcher, it's in iHeart, it's in Spotify, it's anywhere you can find a podcast. That's where it is. So thank you for all being here. Thanks for getting it done. Episode 226. Let's open the show here with Kevin. Kevin writes in and says, "Hey, Fat Dag, this is Kevin again. Hey, you mentioned me in episode 185, a guy's perspective. I was the college athlete. Well, anyway, you came into the city of Denver today, and I really wish I could have met you in person. My wife recently suffered a small stroke and is still in the process of recovering. I couldn't, in good conscience, leave her alone with 3 rambunctious boys, 10, 8, and 6. I hope that Denver is on the international tour next year. I will be sure to catch up with you then. I just wanted to give you an update. My mother passed away in June of this year to cancer. She beat it 4 different times until finally succumbing to it. In traveling back and forth to California, dealing with hospice, insurance, the mortuary, and the funeral, I put on about 10 pounds. The constant eating of unhealthy and fried foods, along with the increased drinking, it didn't help matters. This was all in about a 3-week span. When I got home, I refocused on the plan, getting the blue dots for a week straight and then walking 45 minutes on my treadmill 6 out of the 7 days during the week. It helped me shed 5.8 of the 10 pounds that I had gained. Well, I'm 1.4 pounds away from getting back to the weight I was prior to leaving for California. A trusted friend told me I should cut myself some slack and taking the weight off right away with all that's been going on in my life with my mom passing, the stress at work, and my wife's small stroke. Well, the silver lining in all this is that my wife, after the scare, she wants to rejoin WW and become healthier. Her stroke was triggered by a migraine. She has been suffering with migraines since she was very young. Now that my wife is on board with me, I feel like it should be easier to reach my goal. My wife is an outstanding cook, be it that not all of her dishes would be considered point-friendly. It had been a hope of mine for some time that we could do this together, but I never thought it would come to pass. Now with my better half by my side with the same focus, it's just a matter of time before we reach goal. I am currently down a total of 69.8 pounds, and I set a goal for myself of losing 30 pounds by the end of this year. According to my math, it would be right at 100 pounds lost. There's a good chance I could be down even more if I'm laser focused. I have to travel back to California to help clean up my mom's place and take care of some other business surrounding her death. I will only be out for the weekend this time, and I know that if I'm mindful about what I eat while I'm there, I won't return with 10 extra pounds this time. Hopefully, by this time next year, I'll be celebrating reaching goal. A non-scale victory I shared in my meeting today was being in a meeting at work. I chose grapes and blueberries over donuts, turning down a sugary dessert because I knew that it wasn't worth the points and tossing it in the trash can one night last week. I will put a before and after picture on Connect when I finally get to goal. Your podcast makes my time walking on the treadmill fly by. I have to be honest, it can be tough sometimes making it to my basement to work out, but once I'm done, I'm glad I did it. Thanks for all you do with supporting and encouraging us all through our pitfalls and our triumphs. Something that I have adopted as a mantra is, if you ain't sweating, you ain't trying. I wish you good focus. Kevin. Kevin, incredibly sorry to hear that, I understand why you certainly missed the tour in Denver. And I'm sorry that is the reasoning for it, but, give my best to your wife for certain, and then continue to take care of your family as you finish up your mom's final affairs. And so, that's a lot of life to throw at somebody in a real short period of time. So what you're going through, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I think at this point in your journey, for you to take time with all that you have going on and to pen this email to me lets me know exactly where you are mentally. And mentally is what this journey is all about. You're mentally strong, you're mentally dialed in, but you're in that place where there's some convenience creeping back in, and there's some stress that brings back some bad choices, but mentally you're locked in. That's the piece I want to celebrate, because when you get back to a new normal, when things settle down and when you get back into a new routine, mentally you're on the right track. And just as you said, what's going to be really awesome is that now that your wife is on board with you, it is going to be a much different place in your house. I think the whole family is going to benefit from this healthier version of you. So way to inspire, way to be the prize, way to take care of your life. There are times when we do have to put ourselves slightly on the back burner. And you're doing that at this particular moment in time, but it doesn't mean you've done that forever. And like I said at the opening, is that the fact that you've taken time to pen this email in certainly reminds me that you are mentally locked in, dialed in, and getting it done. Now, here's what I want to kind of focus on, a couple different things. Is you're a numbers guy. I clearly see it in all of your email. You're down, let's say, 69.8 pounds. You're concerned about putting 10 back on. You're down, 5.8 up to 10. You're dialed in. That's what I'm saying. You were dialed in. You're 1.4 away from goal. You are using these numbers as your motivation. That is certainly going to carry you all the way to the finish line and get you to goal. You can do that. The caution I want to give to you is now, as you do this, when you reach your goal, the number game goes away. And so I want you to do a couple different things. I want you to, the paragraph that concerned me just a little bit, as I want to kind of read through it. And again, I know where your head's at. I know where you're at mentally. But you say you got home, you refocused on the plan, which is phenomenal. Getting your blue dots for the week, great. And then walking 45 minutes on the treadmill, 6 out of the 7 days in the week, helping you shed the 5.8 pounds. So what I want to caution you on is, if that is part of your normal routine and that's something you're absolutely doing as part of your new life, congratulations, continue doing that. If you have ramped up the exercise to accommodate for the slight weight gain, I just want to give you a slight caution to either, just to understand that that's not how this process works. We don't necessarily go eat and then all of a sudden have to then try and take all the time with the exercise to get it off. I want you to find something that you can sustain, that you can do, that you truly, truly enjoy doing. I get having the treadmill in the basement. I get that it's there. I have one in my basement. I don't enjoy it, so I don't use it. I enjoy going for a walk in the neighborhood. I enjoy going for a run in the neighborhood. Even when it's raining, I'd rather go run in the rain than go down to my basement and run on the treadmill. So what I want you to do is I want you to find an exercise or some sort of activity that you look forward to, that you love to do, that you want to do. And I want you to find something that you love to do before you do it. Now, I know the feeling of after we've done it. We all feel good after we've done something, but what happens a lot of times in this journey is if we have to force ourselves to do something, yes, we'll feel good after, but when we have to go do it again, we don't necessarily know that it's going to feel good after again. We just certainly dread doing it. And so I want you to find something, if you can, I want you to kind of just look or restructure it in such a way where now you're saying, I actually look forward to doing this. I can't wait to go do this. That's the lifestyle journey we're talking about. That's the shift mentally where you say, aha, I'm a new person. I've changed my habit because I actually want to do this and get it done. So here you are, Kevin, you're doing fantastic. I really, I'm glad to see that your next trip out to California, you've already started planning what you can do different, what you can make changes on. And I simply want you to do your best. You heard me say it on an episode a couple nights ago. The famous quote is, be better tomorrow than you were today. And that just doesn't work in every single scenario. You're in a scenario where that's not possible for you right now. You're in a scenario where tomorrow doing the best you can given the circumstances that you've been handed is the victory. You can't simply improve every single aspect of every single day in with the cards that you've certainly been dealt at this point. So continue focus on doing your best. At some point, you will start recognizing yourself getting back into that routine where life comes back to normal. A new normal for you is redefined. And when you now redefine your life as a new normal, that's when you now say, okay, now let me work to improve on everything else I got going on. So you're doing fantastic work. You know how to do this. You're absolutely getting it done. And then, by this time next year, you'll be celebrating reaching goal. I crossed out the word hopefully in your email because, as you know, hope is not a plan. It takes focus, discipline. It takes you wanting to go get this done. Don't rely on hope and luck to get it done. So, Kevin, keep up the great work. Thank you for the update. Always an honor to hear from you. Keep it up. Internationally, out of Winnipeg, Dan writes in, says, hi, Mike. Here are the answers to my 5 questions. And I'll kind of emphasize here, I've asked you folks always, you've heard the episode, I ask you 5 questions. And so Dan's writing in, sharing those. And the first question I ask is what are you expecting to get out of this journey? And Dan comes in and says, well, I expect the program to give me the guidelines to eat healthy and to maintain it. I am not capable of setting those parameters myself. I asked Dan, do you believe that you can do this? And Dan said, yes, in all capital letters. I believe I can do it. I asked Dan, what's in your way? And Dan said, what's in my way is not tracking, honestly, and weighing and measuring enough. And how do I overcome that? Well, weighing and measuring more and being more honest with tracking, for sure. And then we ask, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? And Dan said, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was my ex turning my daughter against me. And is this program going to be harder or easier than that? And of course, we all know the answer is far easier. And then lastly, who was responsible for your success? And he emphasizes, I am responsible for my own success. And then ends it with, Mike, I must ask that when I become your WW colleague, I ask for your blessing to share those when I am leading my own meeting room. And so, when you're doing your workshops as a wellness coach is the term we use now, you absolutely have permission to use these. Certainly I developed them. I developed them through the community of us talking it out with each other. So these are tools to use however you want to use them. But let's walk through these, right? So, when I ask you, what are you expecting to get out of this journey? I want you to elaborate a little more than that, Dan. And so, you expect the program to give you the guidelines to eat healthy and maintain it. I understand that, you believe that you're not capable of setting those parameters yourself. I get that, but I want you to dig deeper. What does eating healthy look like? What does maintaining it look like? What does it feel like? How do you know if you're following the parameters that the program has given you, how do you know that what you're doing is becoming healthier? How do you know that you're maintaining it? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? Where are you trying to go with this? So I can give you a program and a guideline and you can follow it, but how do you know that the program is what you need? I don't know. Who knows what the program's going to do? This program, of course, we know, but let's say you're following a different program. You don't know. You have to trust the program. And what I want you to do is I want you to get to the point where you recognize you and you recognize what it is you're trying to accomplish physically with you, and you determine if this program is giving you that, so that you'll know when you get there. And I'm glad to see that in all capital letters you wrote, yes, I believe I can do it. Man, that's the hardest part of this battle, is that you believe you can do it, and I believe you can do it. So you're going to hear in a second from the next email that someone doesn't believe they can do it. And my answer to that always is that's fine too. There is no wrong answer to any one of these questions. And so that's very fun. Now, what's in your way? What's in your way is certainly not tracking honestly and not measuring and weighing enough. So what's in your way is I'm going to ask you, I'm going to pick on you a little bit, Dan. I'm going to ask you to dig deeper into these questions. Is that you gave me some pretty good answers, and hopefully it started a conversation in your head, but what does this mean? Why are you not tracking honestly? What does not tracking honestly mean? What does not tracking honestly mean on the weekends? Is it different on Monday as it is on a Friday? What does weighing and measuring more mean? What are you trying to do with that? And so that's what I kind of want you to outline what's in your way and how do you overcome it? And certainly we know what's in my way is not following the program, but there's more to it. Why aren't you? Are there days where you are and there are days where you aren't? Are there scenarios where you are and there's scenarios where you aren't? So if there are scenarios where you're not following the program, let's say you dig deeper into this and you find out what's truly in your way is the weekends. What's truly in the way is Thursday night, let's just say, because you go to some event. And then what I want you to do is I want you to then go, okay, well, if what's in the way is Thursday night, what is the activity, what is the action that's getting in my way? How do I overcome that particular action? Break it down into something that you can actually see, measure, look at, feel, and do, so that you can then chart a course to change it. If what's in your way is simply not tracking, that's too big of an issue for some of us to kind of break down and figure out what it is. So I know so many people that do this and that they track great the day of their meeting. They track great the day or two after their meeting. Or just the opposite. They leave the meeting and they don't track for a day or two, and then by the time Monday comes around, they're back to tracking. And they track very well Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then somewhere between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they kind of fall off tracking. So when I ask you what's in your way, tracking has to have a little more definition than that. Honestly, tracking and measuring, weighing, you got to define what that is. And like I said, if it's the weekend, then break it out and say, well, let me work on setting a goal of tracking on the weekend. And that's kind of a big goal too. Let me work on just tracking breakfast this Saturday. If I can simply track breakfast and lunch this Saturday, that'll be a victory that I haven't accomplished in months. Let me do that. Okay, let me now go and see if I can, for next week, let me see if I can add to that. So I've already proven I can track breakfast on Saturday and lunch on Saturday. Let me see if I can add dinner to that as well. Let me plan ahead. That's what I want you to kind of dig a little deeper to. You've already been through some tough things in your life. You have the mental strength. That's the only reason I asked that question. It pains me, some of the answers I get back when I say, what is the hardest thing that you've ever done in your life? And I tell you, from a caring, loving individual, I want to know, because I want to say it's going to be okay. And I want to help you with that. But the true reason I'm asking you is as I'm trying to get you into a place where you recognize something in your life was very, very, very difficult. Man, the hardest thing you ever did, it was painful. It was excruciatingly painful, and you survived. Whatever it is, you figured it out how to get through it. And so, and oftentimes, that the answer is the hardest thing in their life was a few years ago for a lot of folks. And so, what's interesting about that is not only did you get through it, but you made it well beyond it and past it. And in some cases, you've really taken that and you've really gone a different direction and you really completely changed your life. And so the only reason I ask that question is because I want you to prove to you that you have complete control, complete strength to do anything. Man, you made it through the hardest thing in your life. You made it. So now this is certainly going to be easier. Tracking and digging into your plan, setting up something where you're a project manager managing your own life is what is going to make you the success that you deserve to be. You are responsible for it. You can do it. It's time to just say, you know what? I got this. I'm going to set a plan. I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to ask myself every single day, does this align with my goal? Does this push me closer to my goal, or does this push me further away? And actions that push you further away, you then have to make a conscious decision. Am I okay with that at the moment? If the answer is no, then I want you to then refine something that does align with your goal and get back to it. So Dan, I certainly always appreciate you. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for sharing the 5 questions. And we're going to do the next thing with Deanna out of Nebraska. She writes the same thing. Dear Fat Dag, the answer to your questions are the following. What do I expect to get out of this journey? I expect to get an increase in self-worth and self-respect in my journey. I would also like an increase in better health and mobility and the ability to hang out with my 16, almost 17-year-old daughter doing exercise-related things. I expect to go to my daughter's graduation without being out of breath, climbing stairs, or having the fear of fitting in the seats. I believe I can do it. Now, what's getting in your way is my pain in my back, and sometimes the lack of willpower is the main thing that is in my way. And then, of course, I ask, what's the hardest thing you've ever done in your life? And it's just the hardest thing I've ever had to do was conquer schizophrenia as an inpatient for a full year and a half, not being allowed to see my family, only on monthly short visits. I was hearing voices, and it was a difficult time. But finally, through trial and error of medications, the doctor finally found a medicine that worked. And I'm no longer hearing voices. Losing weight is by far easier than what I went through. I was hospitalized 6 times prior to being an inpatient for 1.5 years. And I follow up with who is responsible for your success? And Deanna says, I alone am responsible for my success. Well, sure, there are people like Fat Dag and my coach that help me, but the ultimate responsibility lies with me. I currently have been tracking faithfully for the last 3 months. Since then, I'm down 15 pounds. My goal is to continue to track and keep showing up for exercise. Thanks again for your service to my My husband deploys a lot, and I understand the military well. Deanna, great job with that. And so, just like we did with Dan, I want to walk through. I love what your expectations are. You have solid expectations of this program. The expectation is that an increase in self-worth, which luckily you can get that without this program. So I want you to work on that with or without this program. I think that's important. Self-worth, self-respect, you can have those things now. I'm giving you that gift right now as you're listening. I've just now given you the gift of self-worth and self-respect. I want you to take it. I want you to own it. I want you to use that, because it doesn't take anything but you wanting it and having it. And I've now given it to you. Now, the better health and the mobility, that is going to come by you working harder and working the program, getting healthy, getting in shape, and you certainly will, be able to hang out with your 16, 17-year-old daughter, doing those exercise, fun-related things. The visual you've drawn out of going to your daughter's graduation without being out of breath, whether you're climbing up the stairs or having that fear of fitting in the seats, right? When we go places, when we're overweight, when we can't control the environment, we have no idea what environment we're going to enter into. That all changes when you get to goal. That all changes when you completely change your life, and that confidence comes back. And you certainly seem to have a great understanding of that. I would, again, also, just like I told Dan, I would ask you to dig a little deeper into drawing that out in a more paragraph form as to what it looks like, what it feels like. I'm actually honored as well to see that you said you believe you can do it. I love that. And I ask you guys listening right now is, do you believe you can do this? And I always follow that up with, right now, if you didn't instantly say yes, then the answer is no. And that's okay for the moment, because I'll believe in you up until the point where I'm ready to hand it over to you, and that where you're actually going to take it back from me. But if you believe you can do it, if you truly, honestly, without a doubt, believe you can do this, you can. And so I ask you one more time, and do you believe you can do this? And so any pause, any hesitation of anything short of yes is simply, okay, great. So if you don't believe, if you're maybe slightly doubtful, if you're not 100% committed to the belief, here's what I want you to do. I want you to now take the journey and break it down into something smaller. So I ask you if you believe you can do this. That's kind of a big goal, right? So now let me ask you, do you believe you can track breakfast? Right? That's a little easier to believe. If you're in that mindset where you don't necessarily believe, and I ask you right now, do you believe you can track breakfast? Makes it a lot easier. And now I'm going to ask you, do you believe you can now track lunch? A little easier. So I want you to break it into things that you absolutely can believe and go get it done. You too have proven that you have incredible strength. A 1.5 years hospitalized, waiting for the doctors through trial and error to figure out what's going on with you, and then to finally getting it resolved. It's an incredible story. I wish we had time to hear the entire story because I think so many people could benefit from this. But you have gone through so much. Absolutely incredible things that the average person should never even have to see, understand, hear about. You've gone through it. Not only have you gone through it, you've come out victorious. Incredibly strong. You made it. You can do this too. You absolutely can do this. You are responsible. You understand that. You understand that there are people like me, your coach, the Wise Wingman Facebook group. You understand that there are things that are tools in your journey to help you get it done. But ultimately, it's up to you to use the tools. It's up to you to find what's going to work for you and get it done. And by all means, you have done that. And faithfully, for the last 3 months, you've been tracking down 15 pounds. There's a direct correlation between cause and effect right there. Faithfully tracking for 3 months, 15 pounds down. Continue to do that. Continue to use that internal strength that you have. Continue to use the focus on your belief that you can do it. Continue to understand that you alone are responsible for this. With all the tools and the community that we built, you can do it. Your lack of willpower is in your way. The pain in your back is in your way, but you can overcome them. You absolutely can overcome them. The lack of willpower certainly comes from, I just kind of explained, as you just kind of build that willpower muscle up to just kind of slowly find the things that you believe and get it done. So, Deanna, thank you so much for your email as well. Keep up the amazing work. Thanks for writing in. Folks, well, I got a couple more in the inbox. When I did that, I probably maybe a dozen or so more that I saw. So I will go through them, a couple more, and we'll walk through them. But I want to share this last email. It comes in from Karen. Karen's joining us on Facebook right now. And she opens up the email and says, "My why evolves. For 20 years, I thought I was destined to remain overweight, taking 2,000 milligrams of metformin. Well, it was the med that would hinder my weight loss. How could I change this? Well, my why, both of my parents passed on their respective 62nd birthdays. On my 65th birthday, December of 2015, Oprah came into my living room, looked me in the eye in my 46-inch TV and said, 'If not now, when?' I wanted to break this terrible family tradition. I joined Weight Watchers online for 18 months, and I upgraded to meetings as I thought I was close to goal. The first year I lost 65 pounds. The second year I lost 14 pounds. I reached goal January 7th, 2018. My A1C went from 6.8 to 5.4. I am off diabetes medication. I went from couch potato to exercising 5 to 6 days a week. I found sustainable activity for me. Attendance is not an issue. I want to be active. Well, how did my why evolve? Well, now that I'm enjoying activity, playing with 2 precious grandchildren, I want to live to see them grow up. More than anything in this world, I want to live a healthy, active life. In 2 weeks, we will be spending a week at Disney. I have no worries about the number of steps I can, and I will keep up. Food is no longer the priority. I can figure out my choices. I want to give back to as many people as I can and will continue to do so as a guide with Weight Watcher, WW, the Wise Wingman, and of course as a member of the Operation Fat Dag team. Determination, patience, and perseverance would define my outlook on my healthy lifestyle. Thank you, Mike, and your community for all believing in me. Watch out, world. Here I am. Love, Karen. Karen, always awesome to see your story in person is even more fun. Absolutely, for sure. You're an incredible inspiration. You're an amazing woman. You got a great family. Congrats again, reaching goal January 7th. I know we talked about it back then, but it's such a cool milestone to hear that is still going on, and you're still dialed in. And so, we asked a couple times, does your why evolve? And there was a period of time where I wasn't sure if it did or didn't. And I'm still kind of on the fence to where I believe in that. And so I believe deep down rooted in, there are some health and longevity issues that are kind of tied to our why. And so we have to kind of figure out what those mean along the way. But there are things in this journey we can't see when we first start. When we first start this journey, we, in your case in particular, is that you probably didn't understand how much you enjoyed the activity. And so there's a new level of enjoyment that just now didn't exist. It was a completely foreign term to you back then. And now as you've gotten yourself healthy, if you completely started changing your life, you can see different possibilities and say, yeah, I get this. And so your why does evolve in that sense where it becomes more clear. And the health and the sustainability and the longevity goals that you always should have had now have different meaning in the sense where you know why you want to be healthier. You want to be healthier so those two precious grandchildren, you will live to see them grow up and live that healthy, active lifestyle. So 2 weeks in Disney. Shout out to a good friend of mine on Connect, SMF Sherry, SMF160. She is on Connect. She is the Disney lady. I think she knows how many steps from every bathroom to bathroom, from every ride to ride, how many points every single thing in the park is. If you haven't found her, certainly go find her on Connect, SMF 160 on Connect if you're going to Disney. But Disney's kind of fun, right? In a sense where, a lot of folks go to Disney and get more steps than they do all week. I've found some people that's not true. I've seen people go to Disney and get less steps than they normally get. But if you go to Disney and generally get more steps, I want you to just kind of think of something. A lot of people make this assumption that you're going to go to Disney, you're going to get more steps than you ever had. So therefore, it's somewhat of a free-for-all. The average person at Disney is 15 to 20,000 steps, somewhere in that ballpark is an average day at Disney for someone who spends the day at the park. One Mickey Mouse ice cream negates that entire day's worth of steps point for point. So keep that in mind. It's not a free-for-all. Use the walking, use the activity as a way to use that as a way to stay healthy, happy, active, and fit, and getting it done. So I love your heart in the end is that you want to give back to as many people as you can. That's what drives me as well. And so I think that's why we've kind of found a way to link up. And so, joining Weight Watchers as a guide or as a coach is just our way to say, this is a life that I didn't know was possible years ago. And so, now that I'm enjoying it, I want everyone else to know that this is so doable. Giving back is just such an amazing, incredible gift that we can share back, and you're absolutely doing that. So thanks for joining the Operation Fat Dag team. We're going to change a lot of lives through that. I'll be up in D.C. In a couple weeks, December 20th. I'll be speaking at the Food Nutrition Conference and Expo, presenting a topic called the link between obesity and national security. I'll present that to a room full of registered for the conference, about 10,000 dietitians and policymakers and leaders. And so it'll be interesting to present that topic to this audience because that's what Operation Fat Dag is doing, is we're trying to make sure that no member of the military suffers unnecessarily without the help, tools, and resources they need to completely change their lives. So Karen, thank you so much for stepping up and wanting to be a part of that board. Truly honored to have you on the team. You do a great job in the Wise Wingman community as well. You're in there often long before I am getting it done. So thank you for that. But you're absolutely right. It's determination, patience, perseverance. That defines your journey. That defines the outlook on your healthy lifestyle. Look out, world. You are absolutely getting it done. And here it is. We're out there. You're just celebrating with you. So Karen, keep up the amazing work. Again, congrats on all your amazing success. Folks, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Let's go to fatdag.com. Click on the Wise Advice Podcast link. Send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. That's what makes this whole show. You guys, you've been listening now, 226 episodes. All we've done is share your story. This show is about you. This is you sharing your life and letting other people know that if you can do it, they can do it. If you're lost, you just listen to someone else's story and go, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. That's what this whole show is in. I want you to email in those celebrations, and I want you to email in your story. I want you to be proud of what you're doing, but more importantly, I want other people to know that what you're doing is possible, what they're doing is possible, that this is something we all can do. You know we can do it. And ask yourself, write down the answers to those 5 questions. What are you expecting to get out of this journey? What are your expectations? Detail it out. This should be a page, 2 pages of what your expectations are. Do you believe you can do it? It's okay if the answer is no. I said it earlier, it's okay if the answer is no, but if it's no, work yourself into a plan where you can find something that you can believe in and build on that belief. Find what's in your way. What is stopping you? What is hindering you? What is in the way of your success? Define it. When you identify it, I want you to define it. And then define it and then formulate a plan as to how you're now going to modify it. How you're going to make changes so that if you know your own limitations, if you know your own weaknesses, you can develop a plan to add strength to them. That strength comes from by you looking at the hardest thing you've ever done in your life and understanding that you made it through it. It wasn't easy, it wasn't fun, and you still may be struggling with it to some extent, but you made it. And so this will be easier. Developing a plan and sticking with it will be easier. And the most important part of all this is that you have to do it. I can help you, the group can help you, your coach can help you, but ultimately inside of you have to make the choice to say, I want to do this. And we all know that, this is not easy. I've never once said the journey's easy. And this isn't the answer for everybody, but this is a good roadmap. This is a good start for you to say, I want to change my life. And work with your healthcare team, work with your healthcare professionals to get out there and getting it done. So, well, that's going to do it for this time. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you all of you who are online as well. But remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you good focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.